Good morning, my dear student children. Nice to meet you once again today. In your previous class, I have taught you valence bond theory of coordination compounds. There I have explained 6 postulates in detail, and today we shall see how the valency bond theory is applied to explain the formation, structures and magnetic properties of few compounds. So the question may come, explain the structure of, for example, hexacyanoferrate 2 complex. So you have to be aware of such type of questions. Now I will explain this valency bond theory by taking few examples. The first example is potassium ferrocyanide. The IUPAC name for this compound is potassium hexacyanoferrate 2. Or this is also written like this in the form of ion FeCl6 carrying a charge of -4, and this complex ion is called as hexacyanoferrate 2 complex ion. So here the 2 indicates the oxidation state of this iron, because there are 6 negative charges, only 2 are balanced, therefore the oxidation number of the iron is 2, remember that. Now you know very well the atomic number of iron is 26 and its electronic configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2 and 3d6. So here in the outermost electronic configuration of this iron 26 is 4s2, 3d6. I said the oxidation number of this iron in this complex is, or in this complex ion is Fe plus 2. In other words, it is Fe plus 2 ion. So the electronic configuration of the Fe plus 2 ion becomes 3d6 4s0. That means 2 electrons are lost. Therefore, Fe plus 2 ion carries the configuration like this, 3d6 4s0. Now I will write this electronic configuration in terms of the Hund's rule, or it is also called as box rule. So there are 6 electrons. I will fill them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4s is empty. And I will also write 4p there. This is also empty. Now yesterday you learned, in the presence of the strong ligand field, the unpaired electrons present in the central metal ion gets paired up. That means when the strong ligand, for example here it is cyanide ligand, it is a strong ligand. When it is approaching this central metal ion, the unpaired electrons present in this metal ion gets paired up, which is against the Hund's rule. So therefore, in the presence of cyanide ion, the unpaired electrons present in this central metal ion gets paired up. So the configuration becomes like this. These 4 unpaired electrons gets paired and leave there 2 vacant orbitals. So I will write this 4s as it is and 4p as it is. So to form this complex ion, there must be 6 vacant orbitals. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 vacant orbitals. So that is 2 3D orbitals. 2 3D orbitals. 1 4s orbital. 3 4p orbitals having different energies now. So they undergo hybridization first before accepting the electrons from the cyanide ligands. So when they undergo sp hybridization, it becomes D2sp3 hybridization. It becomes D2sp3 hybridization. So when they undergo D2sp3 hybridization, now 6 orbitals of D2sp3 hybridization now possess the same energy. So when they possess same energy, now they accept the electrons from the cyanide ligand. Each cyanide ligand donates a pair of electrons like this and forms a coordinate bond. For simplicity, I have written X. X indicates a pair of electrons donated by each cyanide ligand. So now observe this complex. It has undergone D2sp3 hybridization. Then there are no unpaired electrons here. Therefore, this complex is diamagnetic in nature. It is diamagnetic in nature because there are no unpaired electrons. And when it undergoes D2sp3 hybridization, the expected geometry is octahedral geometry. So octahedral geometry will be like this. So there will be cyanide at each corner. One is above the plane and the other one is below the plane. So they donate a pair of electrons and form a coordinate bond like that. So the geometry is the octahedral geometry. So you have seen in this complex, we have explained with the help of the valency bond theory. It is diamagnetic in nature, it is octahedral in geometry, and it has undergone D2sp3 hybridization. Now in valency bond theory, I said those orbitals of the central metal ion which do not take part in bond formation are called as non-bonding orbitals, and the electrons present in them are called as, I said, non-bonding electrons. So you observe here, up to 3p orbitals, they do not take part in bond formation. Therefore, they are called as what? Non-bonding orbitals, and the electrons present in them are called as non-bonding electrons. So followed, dear students, so I have explained the structure of the hexacyanoferrite-2 complex ion, and there we studied and we came to know that it is diamagnetic in nature. And let me explain now another complex or complex ion, potassium ferricyanide, FeCN6, carrying a charge of -3. It is called as hexacyanoferrite-3 complex ion. Hexacyanoferrite-3 complex ion. So as it is iron 26, it has got the configuration like this. Outermost configuration is 4s2 3d6. Now in this complex ion, hexacyanoferrite-3 ion, the oxidation number of the iron is +3. So Fe +3 ion will have the electronic configuration like this. So 4s0 and 3d5. So that is 3 electrons. 2 electrons from 4s, 1 electron from 3d are lost. Therefore it becomes 3d5, 4s0, and 4p I have written as it is empty. Now once again in this complex ion, cyanide is a strong ligand. Therefore, in the presence of this strong ligand, the unpaired electrons present in this central metal ion gets paired up. Okay, before that, I will write the Hund's rule for this 3D file like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4s0, 4p0. So now in the presence of this strong ligand, that is cyanide ligand, the unpaired electrons present in this central metal ion gets paired up. Now there are 5 unpaired electrons, now they get paired up. So the configuration, the Hund's rule configuration becomes like this. So here 2 electrons, and 1 electron is there. So now how many empty orbitals are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these 6 orbitals having different energies, once again they undergo hybridization to give D2sp3 hybrid orbitals possessing same energy. So once they form these D2sp3 hybrid orbitals, now they accept electrons from the cyanide ligand and form 6 coordinate bonds like that. Now look at this complex. It is having 1 unpaired electrons. Therefore, it is said to be paramagnetic in nature. It is said to be paramagnetic in nature. In other words, it has got a slight reduced magnetic property. And once again, the geometry is octahedral. So followed this hexacyanoferrate 3 complex ion is also undergoing D2sp3 hybridization. It is having the octahedral geometry, but only thing is it has got 1 unpaired electron. Therefore, it is paramagnetic. So 2 compounds I have explained. One is potassium ferrocyanide, or in terms of complex ion, I said it is hexacyanoferrate 2 complex ion. There you studied it is diamagnetic, whereas hexacyanoferrate 3 complex ion is paramagnetic in nature. Now, both the complexes, the first one and the second one, are called as inner orbital complexes. That is the first one, hexacyanoferrate 2 complex ion and hexacyanoferrate 3 complex ion. They are called as inner orbital complexes or inner orbital complex ions. What is the definition for inner orbital complexes ion then? The orbitals, the complexes which are formed by the use of D2sp3 hybrid orbitals, or I will say like this, the complexes which are formed by the use of inner d orbitals and involves the D2sp3 hybridization are called as inner orbital complexes. I repeat this definition. Those complexes which are formed by the use of inner d orbitals and involves D2sp3 hybridization are called as inner orbital complexes. Now, in inner orbital complexes, you learned the first complex, that is hexacyanoferrate 2 complex, is diamagnetic, and now the second complex ion, hexacyanoferrate 3 complex ion, is paramagnetic in nature, which means inner orbital complexes are either diamagnetic in nature or paramagnetic. In other words, they will have a reduced paramagnetism. Remember that. Either they are diamagnetic in nature or they will have reduced paramagnetism. So these are 2 examples, right? Now I will take the third example and explain the structure and the magnetic properties by using the valency bond theory. The third complex ion that is mentioned in our syllabus is FeF6 carrying a charge of -3. It is called as hexafluoroferrate 3 ion complex ion. Ferrate 3 ion or complex ion. Once again, in this, the central metal ion is iron. It has got the atomic number 26. Directly I will write its outermost electronic configuration as 4s2 3d6. This is the outermost electronic configuration of iron. Now in this complex ion, that is hexafluoroferrate 3, the oxidation number of iron is +3. Therefore, the Fe+3 ion will have the electronic configuration as 4s0 and 3d5. So 2 electrons from this 4s and 1 electron from this 3d subshell are lost. Therefore, it becomes 3d5 4s0 or 4s0 3d5. I will write this in terms of the Hund's rule. So 5 electrons are there. I will write them according to the Hund's rule like that. Then 4s is empty. I will also write that 4p is also empty. Right? Now here F minus fluoride ligand is a weak ligand. Fluoride ligand is a weak ligand. Therefore, it cannot force this unpaired electron to get paired up. Which means what? The Fe+3 ion in the presence of fluoride ligand will have the same arrangement like this. So therefore, to form this complex ion, we need 6 vacant orbitals. So here there is one 4s, there are 3 4p, and I will also now take the 4d orbitals. So now let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these orbitals having different energies, that is 1 4s orbital, 3 4p orbitals, 2 4d orbitals having different energies. Now they undergo hybridization to give 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals. 6 sp3d2 hybrid orbitals having same energy. So once they undergo hybridization, now they accept, now this iron +3 ion accept electrons from the 6 fluoride ligands. I will write like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So already I said each X indicates a pair of electrons. So now observe this complex ion that is formed. There are 5 unpaired electrons. How many unpaired electrons? 5. That means it is highly paramagnetic in nature. Since it has undergone sp3d2 hybridization, once again the expected geometry is octahedral only. I will write geometry like this. Is it okay? These are the coordinate points formed. So the geometry is octahedral. And here you observe it has undergone sp3d2 hybridization. In other 2 examples, the first 2 examples, they have undergone d2 sp3 hybridization. Here you are noticing in this hexafluoroferrate 3 ion, it is undergoing sp3d2 hybridization. Now such complexes or complex ions are called as outer d orbital complexes. So first two complexes I said they are inner orbital complexes or inner d orbital complexes. Now here these are called as outer orbital complexes or outer d orbital complexes. Why they are called as outer orbital complexes? Because they are formed by the use of outer d orbitals. So they are formed by the use of outer d orbitals and involves sp3d2 hybridization, and hence they are called as what? Outer d orbital complexes or outer orbital complexes. Now you see the first two complexes we called them as inner d orbital complexes, and you have seen that either they are diamagnetic or will have reduced paramagnetism. Now here in case of the outer orbital complexes, you are first noticing that they are highly paramagnetic in nature. They are highly paramagnetic in nature. Inner orbital complexes are formed by which hybridization? D2sp3 hybridization. Whereas the outer orbital complexes are formed by the use of what? sp3d2 hybridization. This is another difference. Then in the inner orbital complexes, you have seen only one unpaired electron in the second complex ion, that is hexacyanoferrate 3 ion. That means inner orbital complexes are low spin complexes. They are called low spin complexes. Whereas you look at this outer orbital complexes, they are having more number of unpaired electrons. Therefore, they are called as what? They are called high spin complexes. Let me say like this. So, the outer orbital complexes are called high spin complexes. So, this is another differentiation between inner and outer. So, remember, inner orbital complexes are low spin complexes, whereas outer orbital complexes are high spin complexes. Another differentiation between the inner and outer orbital complexes. In the inner orbital complexes, we found that there are only less number of unpaired electrons. We have seen there was only one unpaired electron in the second complex cell. Therefore, inner orbital complexes are covalent in nature. They are covalent in nature. Whereas the outer orbital complexes, there are more number of unpaired electrons. Therefore, they are ionic in nature. They are ionic in nature. So, the another differentiation. So, inner orbital complexes are covalent in nature, whereas the outer orbital complexes are ionic in nature. So, in the examination, you may get the questions like this. Differentiate between the inner orbital complexes and outer orbital complexes. You may also get the 2 marks question. What are inner orbital and outer orbital complexes? So, inner orbital complexes are those complexes which are formed by the use of inner d orbitals, and they involves D2sp3 hybridization. Whereas the outer orbital complexes are formed by the use of outer d orbitals, and they involves sp3d2 hybridization, and you can write the differences that I have said already. So remember friends, my students, today I have explained the valency bond theory by taking few examples. We have seen two complexes, they behaved, or I said they are inner orbital complexes. and another complex hexafluoroferrate 3 is outer orbital complexes. So in the examination, you may get the question like this. Explain the structure of, for example, FeF6 carrying a charge of -3 ion, that is hexafluoroferrate 3 ion, with the help of valency bond theory. With the help of valency bond theory. Or the other way of asking the question is like this. Explain the magnetic property and the structure of hexafluoroferrate 3 ion. So the number of ways the question may be asked. So be aware of such questions. So today I taught you the explanation of Werner's theory by taking 3 examples. There we have also learned what are inner and outer orbital complexes and what are their differences. Okay, thank you.